Welcome back to the show. Well, it gives me so much hope to know there are heroes right here in our city dedicated to uplifting marginalized communities. And today's everyday hero is fighting to combat poverty, hunger, and homelessness in Atlanta and beyond. It's my honor to welcome Mrs. Elisabeth Omilami. Hello.
Yay.
Yes, please.
Hello, hello.
How you doing?
It's so good to see you again.
Oh, so good to see you.
You don't change. You don't age.
Well, you look phenomenal. You said you're feeling good, so
yes.
But likewise, the feeling is mutual. Let's talk, Mrs. Omilami, about your family, a force within this community and beyond, but for years. Can you just talk to people who don't know about your legacy?
Sure. Well, my father and mother were icons in the civil rights movement. You know, we don't always talk about the women, but they really ran everything. His name is Hosea Williams, hers Juanita Williams, and he was on Martin Luther King's executive staff. He was the national field organizer, and he was a chemist. A lot of people don't know, but that's how he would fund the family and help fund the movement, because he had a chemical company where he made organic chemicals before it was a phrase. So I grew up right in the middle of the civil rights movement, on the battlefield, as a young girl. Just, you know, marching instead of being in school some days. And I went to jail the first time marching when I was 9 years old. Wow. And so I had a very unique perspective on life and on service to others all my life.
Talk about that fostering of that unique perspective then, because it's one thing to experience it and grow up in it, but how have you been able to make sure your story's heard, and how do you share that with others? Oh,
it's just been a marketing nightmare sometimes, because the Hosea Helps, which is the year-round organization that was birthed back in 1970 by Hosea Williams, but it wasn't year-round then. It was only Thanksgiving and Christmas. Well, now, after our innovative changes because of the times, we just have to tell the stories. And I'll just quickly say, for example, we found a woman with 6 kids living in her car behind a gas station. She had been there for 6 months. Oh my gosh. And we were able to get her car fixed, get her funding for food, etc. And she wanted to drive to Florida to go back to her family. And so that happened just this week. And
she couldn't, I mean, it is the fine line between being okay and being houseless or unhoused in your car, trying to take care of your kids, and sometimes you just need a helping hand.
Just a hand
to get you where you need to go.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And so those are some of the stories that we try to tell. And then you have the government issues with, you know, they canceled the summer feeding program for the children in Georgia. So companies and individuals are giving money to nonprofits like Hosea Helps, who feed people. So we feed people every week, about 300 families. But when your government's not kind of working with you, why would you cancel a summer feeding program? Why would you come against SNAP, which is food stamps, that's under a lot of issues, problems that may get cut?
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, because there's so many people like yourself doing the most that you can, but if there's red tape that you can't get beyond, my kids are a product of the Atlanta public school system, and I know firsthand, I've seen kids that don't get lunch now, that don't get the breakfast, that don't get things, and you try to figure out how to do that, to make it happen. So for someone like you to sit here and be like, I'm trying to connect the dots, this is where we need to start to make a real change and make it easier for you to get people what they need.
To do the work I've been doing now for 35 years. And I know I look good at 72.
I mean, can you please? Yes.
But it's so rewarding. But because of the rise in food cost, you've got very little landlord rights, tenant rights in Georgia, so they can raise your rent when they want to. You got a rise in gas. You got rising utilities. We're seeing middle-class people in the line that come through every week. So it becomes an issue of not only are we serving the people we normally serve that make $35,000 a year, we now have this middle-class population coming through the drive-through by the hundreds. So then you put that together with dwindling resources for a nonprofit is squeezed squeezed between this doubling in service requests and the post-pandemic income is threatened.
Yeah.
And so we need to do as much fundraising as possible, telling these great stories, how successful we are, how most people just need a hand up and they just go their merry way after they cross.
Exactly, exactly. We only have about 20 seconds left, so I want to ask you how can people help?
Thank you.
Yes.
Our website is number 4, HOSEA.org. We're at 4Hosea on Instagram and Facebook. You can give online. We have a Cash App, $ Hosea Helps.
There we go. All right. And I just want to say happy birthday to you. Let's end it with a little happy birthday
to me.
Yeah. Thank you for being here and spreading the good word always. We're so appreciative to have you. And we can say thank you again and again, and we know it's not enough, but we appreciate you. I'm sorry I cut everybody off on that. Good. We were getting down there. All right. Coming up, here we go.